Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch every one and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we head back down to Fraggle Rock as we watch and explore the first 3 episodes of Season 5 from 1987. And those episodes are Mirror Mirror, The Riddle of Rhyming Rock, and The Voice Inside.
Did it feel good to be back, Matt?
It did feel good to be back. It's a little bittersweet knowing that these are the last 13 episodes that we're going to get of Fraggle Rock, obviously until they reboot it. But for now, the last 13 episodes of Fraggle Rock. And yeah, we'll get into this a little bit more, but it didn't feel as warm of a welcome as I was anticipating. I was really, after Muppet Babies for so long, I was kind of expecting to be like, oh, this is revolutionary. This is such a big change. I am so happy to be out of Muppet Baby world. And it was all right.
Yeah, these were some weird episodes. And I didn't realize it till I started writing the episode descriptions, or I was like, what the fuck were they? What does this mean? What were they doing?
Yeah. I think that's a good summary of these episodes. Just kind of like, I like some of the pieces.
Yeah.
But I'm just not sure they all come together properly.
Yeah. They're running out of metaphors.
Well, before we talk too much about that, I wanted to talk about this podcast, Sam.
Uh-oh.
I feel like... Are you concerned?
Are you breaking up with me?
This is your performance review, actually. This is
No.
This is your 3-year check-in. I'm going to see how you're doing, give you some scores, and tell you how you can do better next time. But no, in reality, I feel like there's been a few scenarios in the past couple months where we've been around people and had to explain what our podcast is to them.
Yeah.
I think there was a period of time where I wouldn't say it was an embarrassing thing to do, but it was something I was hesitant to do as far as oh, yeah, so about that, there is a Muppet podcast that I am a part of. Yep, Sam's there too. He's also, it's me and Sam, your 2 coworkers or whoever that you know but didn't realize had a Muppet podcast, and I feel like you're learning a lot about us in this moment. This is a very specific work thing, but you and I are not on the same team at work.
Mm-hmm.
And so not everyone at work, especially newer employees, knows that we interact socially.
That's true.
So to be told that 2 of your coworkers, who you maybe don't see interact regularly,
I never thought about it
not only interact socially, but also have a whole podcast and have had this for 3 years where they just talk about Muppets all the time.
Yeah.
I think could be a little bit of a shock.
I guess I never put myself in their shoes in that capacity, because to me, it is, it's just normal because we've been around for so long that, first of all, obviously, we live in the same town. We've been around forever at work. So obviously we know each other. I don't generally get embarrassed to talk about it with people that we work with because we work on the internet. So there's a certain expectation of well, some of the stuff on the internet is kind of stupid in a fun way. And
You've done embarrassing things on the internet too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we work with people who've done much more embarrassing things on the internet than...
Yeah, our bosses humped the entire town we live in.
It's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah. That's the image that was flashing through my head. So I don't think about getting embarrassed from work people. I get more embarrassed when my mom brings it up, in front of people her age. It's really anybody older than me. I'm I don't want to talk about this.
Right, because podcasting as a hobby is typically a slightly younger person's game.
Yeah.
So the idea of even having something like a podcast, explaining that to a boomer, could be difficult.
Yeah, lots of steps. And also, I think a lot of times I get embarrassed for them fast because they're like, "Oh, you watched the Muppet Show yet?" I'm like, "You absolute rube. Do you know how many episodes we've done of this show?" Or I'll be like, yeah, we started in like 1950, whatever. And they're like, "Whoa, are you sure the Muppets were around in 1950 or whatever?" And I'm like, "Yes, stupid. Like, I would know better than anybody else when the Muppets were around. Come on."
Yeah, there's a very sweet thing that happens, which I try not to, begrudge people that like they want to connect on Muppet things. But there are times when we'll be around people and we'll tell people we have a Muppet podcast, and they try to like Muppet splain to us
Yeah.
things where it's like, oh my God, did you know Jim Henson started off doing these commercials that were like
Yeah.
super violent about coffee? And I'm like, yeah,
We talked
actually,
about it in
yeah,
the
we
second
talked about that on the
episode.
podcast. So we do this podcast where we chronologically talk through everything from like the very beginning, and we're right now into 87. So like everything from the very beginning to 87, we have seen, we have talked about, and they're like, yeah. Did you ever see this episode of the Muppet Show where I'm like,
We've seen all of
yes,
them.
and it's again, it's very sweet. They're trying to connect with the things they know about the Muppets. I appreciate it, but it is hard
We've seen the
sometimes.
forbidden episodes of the Muppet Show. Are you kidding me?
And I try not to do that. I try not to like be like, "Oh, you don't even know what I've
Right.
seen."
Right. I'm not a monster. I would never say it to their face, but later on, I do think that idiot.
Yeah, we'll say it here now, recorded for everyone
Yeah.
else to hear.
Yeah, it is funny when people. I mean, yeah, I guess that's a totally natural thing to do when faced with somebody saying that they're watching every single Muppet thing and not knowing what else you could possibly say to that person. Is, have you seen this? But I don't think it's that embarrassing any. Like, maybe I never thought it was super embarrassing. It is embarrassing to explain sometimes if you know the person you're explaining it to is not going to give a shit, and you're with somebody
Right.
else who's like, "Do you know they have a Muppet podcast?" And then that's my least favorite thing, is when somebody else is like, "They have a Muppet podcast," and then you have to be like, "Yeah, I guess I'll talk about that right now."
Well, and
Even though I've
it's very
clocked you as
much
someone who's not going to care about a Muppet podcast.
right. It's that first second reaction of the other
Yeah.
person of if they're like, "Oh, really?" That's
Uh-huh.
great. Best case scenario where
Yeah.
they're going to love to hear about your Muppet podcast. If the other person's like, "Oh," you're like, "Oh no."
Now I'm stuck.
Like, can we move on? Can we just move
Yeah.
on immediately? Because your reaction tells me you don't care about Muppets or podcasts.
Yes, and I am aware enough of myself to know that it's going to be unpleasant for both of us for me to explain this to you. But I do think, like, as we, I don't know, as we like move deeper into Jim's life, and I just think about like the depth to which we have talked about and thought about this stuff, and I'm like, well, we're not
Mhm.
just like saying this puppet's fun, this puppet's fun. So it's not like a
Right.
podcast I'd ever be embarrassed of anybody listening to in a million years. It really is just like people don't get the Muppets, you know? Like, they really don't. Like, people don't understand. And I think this was like Jim's problem too. Is like people don't understand what he was doing or what he was trying
Right.
to do. So to a lot of people, it is just like, oh yeah, I've been on their ride at Disney and I know Kermit. That's what you guys talk about?
Well, and that's why I understand when people have, potentially strong feelings about more recent Muppet happenings, whether
Yeah.
it's a new performer with a voice you don't like, or whether it's, a new show that feels a little different from something you've watched before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if your main touch point for the Muppets is like 2 or 3 pieces of media, you have a lot less to compare it to. And I think
Yeah.
something we've talked about a lot on this podcast is that like Jim failed a lot. There was a lot of things that Jim tried that didn't work. And I think you just, you get less opportunities to fail these days without everyone just deciding like, oh, wow,
Totally.
maybe you're past your prime.
Because he could fail on one night where he had one special that nobody saw,
Mm-hmm.
or like fail to pitch a show that he just assumed nobody would ever hear about, but we did. We talked about it. But yeah, totally. I think that is something that nobody ever gets taught, is how much when you are anybody, especially creative people, you fail. And that's so important of a lesson of like, and it's not even really, it is failing technically, but it's not
Yeah.
like you're saying where it's failing and then on Reddit everybody's like, oh, I can't believe this sucks so bad, they're done forever. And then that kind of
Right.
becomes a narrative, and then you kind of are done forever. So we're doing an important service for people, I think.
Yeah. We're here to tell you Jim Henson sucked sometimes. He made bad stuff.
He made some really bad stuff.
But that doesn't mean he wasn't great overall. It just means they're not going to talk about those things in Idea Man. But yeah, I think one, earlier on when we started this podcast, I think there was just the challenge of seeing if we could do it and what it would be. And along the way, it started to become more about, what we're learning, what we're experiencing, what we're talking about, our fun Discord community and live streams that we do, and the audience we have built up around this. So yeah, I mean, really, this was my way to get to other people should be talking about our podcast publicly, like we do.
That's right.
You should tell everyone in your own friend and family circle, hey, there's this Muppet podcast called Kermitment. Kermitment. It's K-E-R. You might have to spell it for them.
Yeah.
Tell your friends and family about Kermitment, and don't be embarrassed because, you're not making it.
That's
you're not the one talking about Sexy Miss Piggy.
Yeah. That's always our part too. The other day I was talking to somebody who started joking about, oh, what do you talk about? How sexy Miss Piggy is? And I was like,
Yeah, I came into that conversation later, and the first thing that person said to me was, so I hear you have a Muppet podcast where you talk about how much you want to have sex with Miss Piggy. And I was like,
maybe.
I mean, I wanna say, what? That's ridiculous. But I can't.
Yeah, and you don't have to do that, person listening. You can say there's this podcast where sometimes these two weirdos say they want to have sex with Miss Piggy. Aren't they freaks? You should listen to these freaks. And then people.
That was my first time meeting that person. That was like the first sentence they said to me.
Too. Yeah. It's ruined our lives in so many ways. But that's what Miss Piggy will do to you.
Well, unfortunately, we're not here to talk about Miss Piggy today. So, Sam, how about you tell the people what we are here to talk about today?
All right, buckle up. Some of these are really hard to describe. I did my best. First, we watched Mirror, Mirror, air date. I feel like me and you both say mirror very differently.
Mirror.
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 To
me, it sounds like you're saying mirror.
Yes. What are you saying?
Exactly. Moving on.
Do you have like a dip in the middle of yours?
Yeah.
Mirror.
Yes. I try to.
And mine's mirror.
Mirror.
Yeah.
It's a hard word.
I mean, I blame the Midwest because I say crayon.
Mirror.
I say garage.
Yeah.
I say
Do
mirror.
you say pitcher?
Pitcher. Of water?
Picture. Of
like
camera.
a picture on the wall?
You say picture. You're all right. You're saying.
I say picture.
Yeah, you say it right. As someone who takes pictures, I think you say picture. Okay.
Yeah, I had to learn before they let me take a camera.
That's right. First, we watched Mirror, Mirror. Air date January 5th, 1987. Red is planning her birthday party, her own birthday party, and trying to get her friends to help her, but they won't. This seems very mean and unfraggle-like until they mention that Red loves her birthday so much that she has had 28 birthdays this year alone. Red gets mad at them and goes off to sulk in the caves, which is the number one inciting incident in Fraggle Rock. They're always going off to sulk and finding something weird. And she runs across Cotterpin, who heard Red talking about birthdays and wants to help her plan her birthday. The pair start singing, and as they're singing, they start hearing a mysterious voice that is singing along with them. They follow the voice and find a talking mirror named Mavis who can see the future. Of course. She tells Red that she'll have a birthday she'll never forget if she pushes the mirror to a surprise location. Red does so, and the surprise location turns out to be the entrance to the Gorg Castle. Red goes into the castle and hears Ma crying because it is her birthday too, and Pa has abandoned her to go fishing. Red goes back into the caves and tells Mavis that they gotta get out of there, but Mavis starts yodeling, causing Ma to reach into the hole and pull the mirror out. Ma and the mirror quickly strike up a conversation, and Ma reveals that, aside from being sad that no one's hanging out with her on her birthday, another thing that makes her really sad is that everyone in her family has someone to talk to except for her. But now she does. She has Mavis. Red, however, is a little worried about Mavis and also a little jealous that she lost her magic mirror, so she goes out and confronts Ma. Mavis tells them both that she brought them together so that they could share their birthday. Ma gets excited, but Red just pretends to be excited and to play along because she's still planning to take Mavis back into the hole. In her attempt to steal Mavis back, she drops her from the table that she is on, breaking her into a million pieces. This is what happened in the episode, right? As I'm saying it, I'm like, this sounds insane, but it's real.
I mean, everything you've said so far sounds true.
Okay, cool. So Red goes and gets some doozer glue to fix the mirror, and when she comes back, she hears Ma mourning the loss of her only friend. Red fixes Mavis up and decides that Ma needs her more than she does and leaves Mavis with Ma. When Red goes back to the rock, it turns out that all her friends were just pretending not to care about her birthday and they throw her a surprise party. The moral: don't be selfish, and also don't abandon your wife on her birthday. Do those sound right?
Yeah, I think this is maybe the loosest of the three as far as what a moral is, because they don't even try to connect the Doc and Sprocket one metaphorically
No, Doc's
to
just
the Fraggle
acting
world.
a fool up there.
Yeah, they just both get mirrors.
Yeah, get a mirror. That's the moral. Get a mirror. Meanwhile, up in outer space, Doc is fixing up a mirror that looks exactly like Mavis for some reason for Miss Ardath, but he and Sprocket smash it all up. But it turns out that that is okay because Miss Ardath bought that mirror intending it to be Doc's birthday present. But also, my question is the mirror alive, and did Doc kill it?
Yeah, great question.
Because at the end, it seems like he's just like, well, I broke this thing, so I'm just going to throw it away. But it's like, if you put it back together, it'll come back to life. Maybe he's not going to throw it away. I don't know. Just a horrible, they're mangling a lot of living things in this episode, it turns out. Next, we watched The Riddle of Rhyming Rock, air date January 12th, 1987. There's this rock, see, and it's called Rhyming Rock. And also, Rhyming Rock's rhymes are a riddle? And no Fraggle has ever solved the riddle. And on top of that, you only get to solve the riddle once in your life, and you get 3 guesses over the course of one day. And then if you don't get it right, you can never try again. And no Fraggle has ever solved the riddle, but Gobo is determined to solve the riddle. So Gobo's been training, and he thinks he's ready to solve the riddle of Rhyming Rock. He goes there and he starts making his guesses, but he gets it wrong twice. And before he fails forever, Gobo decides to consult the storyteller to see if she has any insights. She tells Gobo about a spell book that his Uncle Matt discovered that contained a spell that gives you the answer to any riddle. And Gobo runs off partway through the story. She's still telling the story, but he leaves before she finishes it, which is unfortunate for him for reasons that will be clear later. So Gobo finds the spell book and goes back to Rhyming Rock. He tries the spell, but it causes a rock slide that buries and traps Wimbley. Gobo goes back to the storyteller to figure out what he did wrong, and she finishes telling him the story, and that is that Matt figured out a long time ago that if you use the spell for something that isn't a riddle and is just a regular old question, disastrous results ensue. Luckily, though, if you say the spell backwards, everything is reversed. So, Gobo returns to Rhyming Rock with the knowledge that he can reverse the spell, and with the knowledge that Rhyming Rock's riddle isn't a riddle. He frees Wimbley and then sets about solving the mystery of the rock, which is that he's got to ring a bell and like sing a little song with it. And he does it, and then some flowers bloom and start playing disco music, and everybody starts dancing. The moral: always listen to the whole story so you don't run into situations half-cocked and mess everything up, get your friend trapped under some rocks. Meanwhile, up in outer space, Doc is building an automatic pie-making machine for Miss Ardath, but as he is an expert tinkerer, he doesn't think that he needs the instructions. He tries to build the machine without them, and he messes up because of course he does, because he's Doc, and then he admits that he should have read the instructions and tries again to build the machine. Finally, we watched The Voice Inside, air date January 19th, 1987. Gobo is planning a trip to Grey Rock Ridge to look at some rocks, I guess, and he wants all of his friends to come too. But the trip sounds so boring that not even Boober wants to go with him. Gobo knows that Wimbley will want to come no matter what, but it turns out that Wimbley is both having a rock dust allergy attack and his gut is telling him not to go on the trip. Gobo, it turns out, is sort of a facts don't care about your feelings kind of like logic-based guy, at least in this episode. And he says that trusting your gut is silly, but he respects Wimbley's desire not to go. And then he gets ready to go to Grey Rock Ridge alone. Meanwhile, up in outer space, Doc and Sprocket are out on a walk. Sprocket runs off and ends up falling down a hole into Fraggle Rock, leaving Doc worried sick. Meanwhile, again, as Gobo is leaving to explore, Cotterpin and Wrench Doozer overhear him. Cotterpin tries to explain what exploring is, but Wrench thinks that it sounds crazy. He starts to walk home, but he gets the sudden urge to peek down a cave he's never been down and ends up also falling in a hole and landing right on top of Sprocket. Sprocket starts running around and freaking out and then runs right into Gobo. After things calm down, the trio make each other's acquaintances and decide that they will all travel to Grey Rock Ridge together. So they do that. But once they get there, Gobo has a weird gut feeling that they shouldn't keep going, a feeling which he ignores. When they enter Grey Rock Ridge, they're hit by a raging rock dust storm that almost separates them, but they all work together to survive. Almost. Because Wrench gets buried in a landslide. Sprocket uses his nose to find him and they dig him out. The trio retreats to safety and Gobo admits that maybe there is something to following your gut instincts after all, noting also that if Wimbley had come, the rock dust storm might have killed him. So then, off screen, they help Sprocket find his way out of the cave and back to Doc, and everyone is happy. The moral, I think, is just like a real roundabout way to say trust your instincts, but also there's just a little bit of everyone has something that they're good at that will come in handy eventually, which is a pretty common Fraggle Rock thing too.
What are your feelings overall on these Fraggle Rock episodes, Sam?
These were big time ones where I usually will sometimes change my final rating after I write the episode synopsis. And if it just keeps going on and on and on, where it's like, this is barely holding together, or like, what was the point of this? Then I'll have to go back and maybe dock a star. These were just like all so shaggy and weird, I thought. But they were cool. There was like some really cool set pieces. Like Rhyming Rock is really cool. I love the last one was better. And I like that it's like all those people coming together. That one's pretty straightforward. Like that was a good one. But the first one is just like, I like the mirror character. I really liked the storyline of Ma not having anybody to talk to. But maybe that one felt like the birthday part wasn't necessary, or like something about, if they had centered it more on Ma not having anyone to talk to, maybe it would have been like a more emotional episode or something like that. It was just like so zany, and so it was kind of like same thing happens a few times where it is like Red's like trying to figure out how to get the mirror back, or like it just feels like they spend so long pushing. It's funny that they spend so long pushing the mirror to the hole that even Cotterpin is like, this is boring. I'm leaving.
Like, the fact that Cotterpin bails mid-episode, it's like, you didn't even need to come.
Yeah.
Like, the only reason you need to be in this episode is so that they learn about, like, Doozer glue.
The glue, yeah. She's, like, not even mad or anything in particular. She's just like, I got other stuff to do. See you later.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, for me, especially the first couple episodes felt sort of like Fraggle Mad Libs, where it was, especially, I think Rhyming Rock was like, okay, there's a riddle, and then there's a mystical rock, and then a Fraggle gets trapped in a hole. Perfect. Fraggle Rock episode.
Yeah. Yeah. And every time they get trapped in a hole, like the first time they got trapped in a hole, it was like the saddest thing ever. And there's been like 4 other times they got trapped in a hole, and they're just like, well,
fuck, again? Really?
I guess when you live in a cave, you're going to get trapped in a hole every now and then.
Well, and there's even like the Marooned episode. It takes place around Boober's surprise birthday party. So they even have like the birthday parties creeping in again to this batch of episodes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, it does feel like a bit, and I'm sure once we get closer to the end of this season, the big guns are going to come out and they're going to start wrapping things up and having some big storylines happen. But right now it feels like maybe we're in a middle ground where they're sort of, I don't know, treading water a little bit.
Yeah. Sure. Which, you know, I think every season is probably like that. But this is the last season, but they also didn't know it was the last. Like,
right. Technically, this is the middle of the last season to them.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't hate it by any means. It was just kind of, sometimes I was like, what's going on here? I got to rewind and figure out what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah. I think especially in this first episode, there was a few moments where I just felt like I could see what they were trying to do and just didn't love the way they did it. But that first episode is January 5th, 1987's Mirror, Mirror.
Thank you.
Say it in Sam's tongue. Yeah, the first episode of this weird 5th season that wasn't a 5th season, but is a 5th season now. Written by Jocelyn Stevenson and directed by Wayne Moss. Previously, we had learned that every year on our Fraggles' birthday, they go to the trash heap for birthday wisdom.
Oh, yeah. Right.
But in this,
Forgot about that.
yeah, in this batch, we get no trash heap, Philo, Gunge, or Junior Gorg even.
Oh, Junior should be there for his mom's birthday.
Yeah, they sort of explain away that he's not there, that he's just busy, like maybe
Yeah.
helping his dad. But it's weird that they don't even show him.
No, they don't. Yeah, they needed to make a better excuse for Junior to be gone than for Pa to be gone, because Pa is really easy to buy that he would just forget the birthday. But
Well, but it also, I don't know if he fully forgets or if the fishing is more important.
yeah,
Because there's a cake and decorations all over the house. Like he sees that it's
right.
birthday time. I think he just is like, well, the honk fish are stuck and I gotta go free them.
Yeah, that was a part I was really unclear on because I couldn't tell if he was just like he was in fishing gear. So I
Right.
couldn't tell if he was like just saying, "Oh, they're stuck. I got to go." But he really just wanted to go fishing, or if he
Right.
genuinely did have to go help.
Right. Like, is he helping the honk fish get free or is he taking advantage of the honk fish being stuck to capture
To
and
go.
eat them all?
Yes, and that I think the intent to me was that he was just using it as an excuse to go fishing, which is what he wanted to do. But
Right.
it is like not super clear, except that he's
No.
wearing that fishing outfit. I think is the only clue that like he's going fishing.
Yeah, because he has a big fish. He has like a big fishing pole as well.
This almost felt like a time when they could have just said he's going fishing and not the honk fish are stuck, because then you're like, well, what could that possibly mean?
Well, and they even say at one point, I think Ma says something about him that he went honk fishing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so he is fishing. So what is this whole story about the honk fish being stuck?
Yeah, not super clear.
No. But this episode and this season kick off with Doc and Sprocket bringing in a mirror that Miss Ardath gave to Doc because there's a man coming to pick it up to repair it. And we learn that Miss Ardath, I guess, is out of town, so that guy has to come to Doc's shop to pick it up, and that this mirror is super old, and there's apparently a twin of this mirror that mysteriously disappeared.
Yeah. This is also really weird because it doesn't like come up, and it seems like the mirror would. I don't know. It just seems like why not give him something else? It doesn't have to be the mirror.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be.
I was waiting for like
mirror.
a magic mirror moment where he could see into Fraggle Rock or something, and they could see Doc, and
Right.
Doc would be very confused. But you know, even if it was just into Fraggle Rock, but he doesn't see a Fraggle, but he just sees a mystical world inside of this mirror for a second.
Yeah.
Would be more interesting than just he has to fix a broken mirror.
Or even that it would just talk to Sprocket or something. Like the mirror would be like, "Hey, what's up, dog?" I thought would happen.
Yeah, right. Like Doc leaves the workshop to go get a tool, and the mirror's like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Yeah. Instead, it just sets up this like it would be like a two-way mirror situation where you could see through one and the other, but it's just like, well, we're just gonna murder this living mirror in front of your eyes.
Well, and also only because Doc decides that he's going to save Betty money by fixing the mirror himself.
Yeah. And the reveal being that he was the guy who was gonna come pick it up. Is that what it was supposed to be?
I don't think so. I think she was still getting the mirror repaired, but then was going to give it back to him once it was fixed.
Yeah, that's weird. Right? That's like weird of her to do.
It's weird of her to leave his birthday present with him.
Yeah.
When he apparently also isn't even sure it is his birthday. I
Yeah.
can't tell if his birthday is coming up, if it's already passed, if today is his birthday. He
Just
seems
not a guy
confused by
who's-
the idea of getting a birthday present.
Yeah, he doesn't care about his birthday, it seems like. And to have your present at your house and somebody comes and picks it up, and then you later open up a birthday present and it is the thing that you like somebody came and picked up from your house, would just be like, I'd just be like, oh, okay.
Right, like
Not really a good
do
surprise.
they wrap it or do they just like bring it back to you? They're like, "Hey, happy birthday!"
And maybe
it's the
he
thing
says,
you
like,
had
"Oh,"
yesterday.
Maybe he says like it was wrapped up or something, and he unwrapped it to fix it himself or something. I don't know, but
I don't think. I mean, he might bring it in a box. I don't remember, but it doesn't seem like he's told not to.
yeah. But when you're getting this
No, actually, I think he
granular,
brings in just the mirror
I think you're
itself
right.
when they
Yeah.
walk in.
When you're getting this granular with like the details of the setup of this story, then I think you need to
Yeah.
say, yeah, maybe we should just do something else.
Yeah, I think that is more telling about the episode itself. But down in Fraggle Rock, Red is trying to plan a party, but the rest of the Fraggles don't seem to care that it's Red's birthday. We've established previously that Fraggles can pick their birthdays, like whenever they
Oh yeah,
want.
right.
And so it seems that Red has decided to have 28 birthday parties very close together.
I love this setup, and I think this is like it's like two different storylines that could have been their own episode probably without having to be combined. But I think this was a very funny joke that they don't care because she's had 28 birthdays. Then it's an even funnier joke that they're like, "Are you kidding me? Of course we care about your 28th birthday this year. Come on, we're throwing you a surprise party."
But I also do like the layer of Fraggle rules coming back to bite them. Of like,
yeah,
why did we say everyone can choose their own birthday? Like, now they can choose 28 birthdays.
Yeah, but Red's the only one craven enough to do so.
It would be funny too if they had found out that like Gorgs only get one birthday every like 600 years. And if Red was complaining about like no one cares about my 28th birthday party,
That
and
would have
Ma's
been
like,
fun. Yeah.
well, I haven't had a birthday in 600 years and nobody cares.
Yeah.
And Red has to be like, oh well, sorry about that.
That's already better than the episode, Matt.
I just wish like I liked everything about this episode except the mirror.
Yeah, I think I maybe agree with that because I do, but I liked the mirror when it was friends with Ma. I liked that she had somebody to talk to.
I don't like the way the mirror. I don't like the mirror's future telling capabilities because it leads to her being really annoying. Of like, well, something's gonna happen, but I won't tell you.
That's true. Yeah.
And so, like, if she was just a magic mirror that talked and could maybe show something in the mirror to be interesting, but like the idea that she's so cryptic and always just trying to play this game with people was a little bit obnoxious.
Right. And it also kind of makes her, and I don't know if this maybe was just on purpose, she seems kind of sinister for a lot of it.
I did not trust this mirror.
Yeah. She seems evil, but she never reveals to be evil or anything like that.
No, she actually turns out to be very nice.
Yeah. She's so cryptic that it does seem like she's leading her into a trap or something.
Or even naive in a way that we've seen other Fraggle Rock characters where like all it takes is to be friends with the Gorgs. This is going to be perfect. Or like, I think we've seen some characters that don't understand this dynamic between Gorgs and Fraggles or whatever.
Right.
So if all the mirror sees is, hey, there's a birthday party around this corner for you, but she doesn't understand that it's a Gorg birthday party, which is bad news for Red, then sure, she accidentally leads Red into a precarious situation.
Yeah.
But to have a character who can tell the future and everything just works out fine, it's not that interesting.
Well, I guess that's realistic to a character who can see the future, though.
Well, Cotterpin wants to go party with Red instead of stirring glue, which we hear about twice in this batch of episodes.
Yeah, there's a lot of Doozer Glue references.
Well, this leads to a song called Happy Birthday to Me, where Red and Cotterpin sing a sweet song about Red's birthday. And then while they're singing, suddenly another voice starts singing the song along with them.
I liked this part too. It's interesting to have the song bleed over into like the plot so much. Because a lot of times it just feels like you could cut the song out and it wouldn't really matter that much. But
yeah, there's a couple songs in this batch that, regardless of how good the song is, doesn't feel like it's part of the episode as much. And some even get to like Muppet Babies levels of, and now we should probably sing a song.
There were definitely times where I was like, they're just padding for time. They needed another song because they didn't have enough. And this is a long song, so they did a good job padding for time.
But I do like the conceit that Mavis, the mirror, is the one singing the song. Because there is a moment there where you just hear somebody else singing the song and you're like, what's going on here? Because enough weird stuff has happened in Fraggle Rock before that you kind of understand that this makes sense in their world,
Yeah.
but you don't yet have the answer to who's doing it.
There's always little guys singing songs around.
Well, we meet Mavis, and that's when we learn that she can tell the future. And much like the future rhyming rock we'll meet, this kind of talks in riddles a little bit.
Yeah.
She says, dry is dry and wet is wet. You'll have a party you won't forget. And this is when they decide to keep on going forward to get to this mysterious party. And Red has to push the mirror with Cotterpin on top of it. And this is when the episode starts to drag a little bit.
Yeah, it just really feels like they're pushing this mirror forever.
Well, and even Cotterpin immediately calls out that this is going to be boring because she gets up on top of the mirror and she's like, ugh, what I won't do for a piece of cake.
Yeah. And this is when it seems like the mirror is evil, like it has got an ulterior motive or like is intent, like it gonna ruin Red's birthday on purpose or something.
Right. But up in the Gorg Castle, it's also Ma Gorg's birthday. Pa Gorg is missing her birthday to go honk fishing or to free the honk fish, something along those lines. He says the words "unstick the honk fish."
I gotta go unstick the honk fish, which definitely sounds like masturbation and
or pooping.
Illusion. Oh yeah, could be pooping.
Or just like a weird cool in the 90s phrase. Like, oh yeah, man, he really unstuck the honk fish, if you know what I mean.
Fish, yeah.
Well, Pa does give Ma a present before he leaves, and it's a new scrub brush.
Great. This, yeah. I've made the mistake of abandoning my wife on not actually her birthday, more like a couple days before her birthday, not realizing that was close enough to her birthday to be a problem. But Pa's making a big mistake here. He should pay for his crimes more than he does in this episode, I think.
Yeah, he's not only abandoning his wife on his birthday, but he's also apparently, traditionally, only giving her cleaning supplies on her birthday.
Yeah, so he's a dirtbag, and he needs to learn the lesson more than anybody else, not to be bad at birthdays.
Yeah, but he doesn't learn a goddamn thing in this episode.
Yeah, he just has fun fishing.
Yeah, he's like, what a great day. Well, once he leaves, that's when we see Ma sobbing. It turns out she was upset about him abandoning her on her birthday. As we cut back down to Cotterpin, who is tired of this boring mirror journey and decides to leave Red behind with the mirror. Why did she come along? Who knows?
Yeah. Why couldn't they just have passed a doozer who was stirring glue and Red said, "What you doing?" "Stirring glue." "Okay." And then that will come in handy later.
Yeah, because the whole thing was that Cotterpin wanted to give up her boring life of stirring glue to go to a fun party with Red. And the moment it took like 5 minutes of work, which you'd think a doozer might be into.
Yeah.
She's like, this sucks more than stirring glue.
Yeah. To be fair to Cotterpin, the whole situation did suck and was kind of boring. And there was no party involved.
Is it worse than stirring glue, though?
I think it's equal to stirring glue. Because there's more life-threatening involved with the thing that was happening. And also, like, Red trying to steal that mirror back wasn't interesting at all. So, at least when you're stirring glue, you're with a bunch of other people you can talk to and not almost getting smooshed.
I guess. I don't know. I'm like, do I want to stay home and chop wood, or do I want to go on a road trip with the promise of a party at the end of it?
Yeah, I guess in that case, like, the initial promise of what the trip will be does sound better than stirring glue. Hindsight's 2020. Stirring the glue would have been a better choice for her, I think.
It at least became useful at the end.
Yeah, and she would have been closer to where the actual party ended up being.
Very true.
Though she is there at the end anyway, but
yeah,
she
maybe wouldn't have gotten the invite to the party had she not inserted herself in this situation.
Yeah. The whole excursion ultimately was pointless for everyone involved except Ma, who got a new friend.
Who we'll probably never see again.
Yeah, we definitely don't. I looked it up. I was like, I kind of like this. This is a good character.
Well, the mirror leads Red right to the tunnel that leads into the Gorg Castle. And this is when we learn, via a "Don't Call Me Shirley" joke, that the mirror's name is Mavis. That felt weird.
It's like one of the few times I've been like taken out of Fraggle Rock and started thinking about the movie Airplane instead.
Yeah. You just feel the writers being like, hey, this would be a good moment to insert that airplane joke right here. And also, I think it wouldn't be funny to Red, which is why, in Airplane it works because it's delivered so straightforward.
Uh-huh.
and everyone in the room. It's. I'm not going to explain Airplane as why it's funny, but like there's a reason it works in Airplane and doesn't work in Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, because this mirror is already wacky. It's not a straight man mirror or anything like that.
Well, and I also feel like somebody saying like, "Oh yeah, don't call me Shirley." Red would just be like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense. I understand your name isn't Shirley."
Yeah.
Like, she's not laughing. She doesn't get the joke here.
Uh-huh.
It took me out. I think what you said, it took me out of the episode a little bit.
And that doesn't happen with Fraggle Rock very often. They don't make a
No.
lot of references, I guess, to anything.
No, when they do, it's usually on purpose via, the Fraggles get a radio. They're
Right.
hearing something from the outside world that affects their world. Not just like a referential mirror who maybe one of her powers is able to watch movies on her own mirror.
That'd be a fun power.
See, now I'm imagining a world in which there is a creature or a mirror or something that enters Fraggle Rock and is like Polly the Parrot on Muppet Babies, who is just quoting a bunch of stuff, but because the Fraggles haven't seen movies, they're just like, oh, everything this guy says is real and believable, but we all know he's quoting things. He's like, you talking to me? They're like, obviously we're talking to you, sir. You're right in front of us.
I'm picturing the beginning of this episode, Doc coming back from the junkyard, and he has a magic mirror and a television. And he's like, the guy at the junkyard said the other mirror somewhere. So he puts both things down and starts watching the TV. But the Fraggles have the other one, and so they're watching TV. And they're all like, wow, TV. And they're all like, can't tear themselves away from it until Doc's just like, TV's stupid. We don't need a TV, do we, Sprocket? And turns it off. And then they're like, But like one of the Fraggles is trying to like figure out how to save everybody else or something. They don't care about TV. Moki doesn't care about TV or something. Maybe Red doesn't care about TV. I'm not sure which one.
I feel like there's a severe lack of Moki and Boober in this batch of episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Boober showed up in the second one, and I was like, why did they even bother having him? There's no point.
Yeah, when he shows up, he barely gets a line or two.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a very interesting batch. So up in the workshop, there's a brief aside where Sprocket breaks the mirror because he's been trying to fix the radio they have, which I guess this could have done the same thing as your TV idea, where he's trying to fix the radio, but in the process, bashes the mirror with a screwdriver.
Yeah. This living being, assumedly.
They don't know it's alive.
That doesn't make it better.
Well, down in Fraggle Rock again, the mirror, who can predict the future, yodels to get the Gorg's attention. And so she gets grabbed by Ma Gorg, who has a little therapy session with Mavis the mirror.
I really like that part.
Yeah, no, it's nice because, again, once we learn Mavis isn't actually trying to trick anyone or isn't evil, I am okay with her being a legit friend to Ma Gorg.
She was trying to get over there because she knew that Ma needed a friend. That's so sweet.
Right. And if anything, was trying to make Red and Ma friends, which doesn't necessarily
that doesn't work
out
at all because Red's a total dick in this episode.
Yeah, because Red goes to rescue Mavis, and Ma and Red argue about who found Mavis originally, but Mavis just wants them to chill out and enjoy the birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they sing the song Make a Friend, where they just kind of sing about making friends. It's kind of sweet. But Red still wants to sneak Mavis out during the song while Ma is distracted.
Ma is totally into this idea. Immediately is like, okay, I guess I could be friends with this little rat. But Red never buys into it at all. She's always trying to sneak away from Ma, which is so mean, I think.
And there's a very good line near the end of the song where Mavis is trying to convince Red that, like, this is fine, look. And she looks at Ma Gorg and says, look at her, so happy, so huge.
Red is unmoved, though.
Yeah. Red decides that she's going to try and lower Mavis off the table and instead murders her.
Pushes her to her
shoves her.
Yeah.
Ma's even trying to stop her. Ma's like, little Fraggle, I don't think that's going to do what you think it's going to do.
Yeah.
And it's right, because they just shove her off the table and she shatters into a bunch of pieces.
And she can't talk anymore or anything. So she is dead.
No.
And
she
Doc
is
has
momentarily
also
dead.
Killed. Because when they break the mirror in Doc's world, it also just like completely falls apart. Like the head falls off and everything.
Right. It's like a Shrine of the Silver Monkey situation.
That's right.
For all the people who understand that reference that I just said. Well, Red is distraught, and both Ma and Red are angry at each other because they both think they're being selfish, which is another part of this that I don't think works entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't necessarily get the selfish angle that they're trying to sell me.
No, especially not on Ma's part, because Ma was just minding her own business.
Right. Like, Ma wasn't saying, this is my mirror. This is my, I want it because it's gold or it's shiny or it's fancy. Like, she wants it because it's a living being and it's a
Yeah, that
friend.
like called out to her
Uh,
from a hole.
right. And so I feel like the only time the selfishness thing comes up is when they're explicitly saying, you're being selfish.
Yeah, right.
But it doesn't feel that way.
Well, yeah, well, Red is clearly being selfish, I would say, through the whole thing. Just like having 28 birthdays is selfish.
True.
But it's kind of undercut by the fact that the Fraggles are into it.
Well, it turns out Cotterpin's glue is the answer to this problem because they got to go get Cotterpin's glue to put Mavis back together.
Thrilling.
And, and while that's happening, while Red is rushing by, we learn that the other Fraggles weren't actually sick of Red's birthday party and were planning a surprise party for her. But Red doesn't notice them because she has to go get the glue from Cotterpin. So she brings Cotterpin to help Mavis and Magorg. Red fixes Mavis and brings her back to life. And this is when Magorg decides to give Mavis back to Red. But since Mavis is Ma's only friend, Red leaves Mavis
She finds
behind.
some shred of human emotion inside of her. Yeah. And doesn't take this poor old lady's only friend away from her. Do you think she is old, or do you think she's like our age, Ma?
Ooh.
It's like a Homer Simpson thing where he's like 32 or 3 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, technically they're hundreds of years old, but if you're
Right.
saying like, what is she
Adjusted
supposed to
for
be?
inflation. Yeah. I think she's probably in her 40s.
Yeah, that checks out to me.
Yeah.
Because if, Junior's supposed to be maybe late teens, early 20s.
Right. Yeah. She, kind of corny, still a little sexy though. She can still get it.
And does often, it seems like.
Absolutely. More than any other Muppet ever has had more sex, for sure.
Yeah, sometimes you got to go out and unstick the honkfish.
That's right.
Well, on the way back, the Fraggles jump out and surprise Red. And that's kind of where the Fraggle story ends in this episode. Is they're just like, ha ha ha, we didn't actually care that you wanted so many birthdays. We love your birthdays.
Yeah, Red, there needed to be an extra moment where Red was like re-explained something that she had learned from this whole situation.
Right.
She was like,
Yeah, I think we're
well,
supposed
maybe
to
let's have Boober's birthday today instead, or something like that.
Or it should be all of our birthdays.
Yeah.
Let's all celebrate. Or let's go do something for Ma Gorg. Let's bring her this birthday cake or something.
In effect, that would be like if several rats came out of a hole in your house with a little cake on their head. Be like, here you go.
That'd be adorable.
I guess that would be really sweet. Thanks, rats.
If they were clearly presenting it to me and not just dragging it through my living room.
Yeah.
Well, the end of the episode with Doc and Sprocket is when we learn that the mirror was going to be a birthday present for Doc, who, again, I'm not sure he knows it's his birthday.
Nope.
And yeah, there's no metaphorical connection there. Just an actual tangible one of it's birthdays and there's the same mirror.
And Miss Ardath seems to be like cackling at him on the other side of the line. And he's like, why are you laughing so hard? I'd also be like, why are you laughing? This whole situation makes absolutely no sense.
I gave you a present and you broke it because you didn't know it was your present. Ha 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 ha.
Happy birthday.
You fool. You broke your present.
The fact that they made the mirror look the same as the other mirror is so needlessly complicated, but also uncomplicated.
To set up that there is a living mirror and its twin exists in the real world, and that has no effect on the story whatsoever.
To do with anything, yeah.
Well, what would you rate that episode, Sam?
I give that episode 2.5 stars, which feels a little high to me, maybe, but it didn't actively bother me. It was just kind of like, okay, sure. And I liked Mavis. It doesn't sound like you liked Mavis, but I kind of thought she was fun.
Yeah, I like Mavis again as a friend of Ma's. I did not like Mavis as a weirdly, seemingly evil at first character who I couldn't really tell what she was trying to get out of this or whether she was just a good person. I couldn't get a read on Mavis.
Yeah. I liked her. She kind of reminded me of like female Link Hogthrob performance. There was something just something I just liked about her performance.
I think something we do get in this batch of episodes is some new characterizations of characters on Fraggle Rock, like new voices we haven't really heard, new personalities that we haven't seen before. So I like her for that, but everything else I didn't enjoy.
Sure.
Well, the next episode is from January 12th, 1987. Sorry, I was just doing the math.
Oh.
You're not going to be happy about what I'm going to say.
Uh-oh. Okay.
This potentially is around the time
Matt.
that you and I would have been conceived.
Matthew. What a weird date to be conceived. It's just some day in January. Not even special. They could have been watching this episode, too, at the same exact time.
Yeah, they're like, oh, bing bong ding dong, you say?
Matt.
Maybe that's why we do a Muppet podcast. We were conceived after an episode of Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, and it's just inside of our reptile brain. So, I mean, definitely we were conceived in this span of episodes, right?
Yeah, I think
there's
so.
Almost no way we weren't.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because, right? February, March, April, May, June, July.
So it'd have to be early January, I think.
Or late December.
Or really late December, yeah.
Okay. Whew, we've already been conceived. We don't have to think about it, Sam.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think we could have been conceived during Mirror Mirror.
Yes. Not all babies are exactly 9 months when they're popped out.
Not conceived during the Riddle of Rhyming Rock. That would have been too late.
So the Riddle of Rhyming Rock, which should air on January 12th, 1987, was written by P.B. Nickel and directed by Terry Maskell. Well, this episode starts with Doc and Sprocket looking at a new automatic pie maker that Miss Ardath ordered for the captain's inn. Feels like something that Doc maybe would have tried to build from scratch as a tinkerer project.
This episode has like Doc talking about tinkering. He's being like, what's the word? He's thinking back on the good old days. Like he hasn't been a tinkerer in a while in the show, it seems like. But he's like getting back in touch with his roots in this one. But you're right. He would have maybe tried to just build the pie maker. That's a pretty complicated piece of machinery that also doesn't exist. But also, then you wouldn't have the instructions thing as part of it. But yeah, definitely in this one, Doc is like, I'm a tinkerer. Remember, I used to be cool.
Yeah, I think because it's a machine that doesn't exist, it feels even more like something Doc would have tried to build. Like, you know, he could kick off this episode like, oh, Miss Ardath's so tired from making all the pies for the captain's inn. What if I built her an automatic pie maker?
Yes, and then that episode would be about like automation or something in Fraggle Rock. They'd be like...
Right. But we need the instruction booklet part of this episode, which is kind of the opposite lesson of the next episode.
That's exactly, you're right. It is.
This one's about don't think you're right. Don't go with your gut on this. You need to read the instruction booklet. Think with your head. And the next episode's like, actually, go with your gut.
You almost learn more specifically about magic spells, and you should be careful with magic spells than you do about like taking advice or whatever. Yeah, magic always has a price. That's the lesson of this one.
Well, or if, you know, if it was not the story that revealed the negative side effects to Gobo, but if it was in the spell book itself and he skimmed it and didn't read the whole book.
Oh, yeah. Then that would tie in better. That's true.
Yeah. Which I also... The reason this episode to me feels like a Fraggle Rock Mad Lib is I feel like every part of this has happened in another episode.
Yeah, I think that it is like, here's X like magical thing in the rock. Here's a flashback to Traveling Matt. Here's Wembley getting buried. Here's like an eccentric character. Yeah, you're right. I think it all comes together feel like in a kind of an interesting way, and I liked the concept that Herkimer brings up, that there are 8 wonders of Fraggle Rock and that all of them have like a caretaker. Almost like I would like a season where they like went around and found all of them or something like that.
Right.
But that's like the kind of world building that I think is kind of fun in Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, I think it's just because I think they even did something along the lines of somebody not listening to the full story or reading the full story previously.
Yeah.
And then just setting out on an adventure.
Right.
and being like, "Oh, did you read the whole story though?" And it's like, "Nope." It's like, well, that's gonna come back and bite you.
Yeah, or like
So,
Gobo not listening to his uncle's advice, or like not believing that his uncle knows stuff. I think has happened where he's gotten like really lost before because he didn't finish listening to Uncle Matt.
so yeah, it's. I think parts of this definitely work, but it just feels like a cobbled together Frankenstein monster of a Fraggle
Mm-hmm.
Rock episode. Well, down in Fraggle Rock, Red, Wembley, and Gobo are asking each other riddles because they're trying to help Gobo train to solve the riddle of rhyming rock.
Their little like interaction, like them training him like he's a fighter, and Wembley like giving him like the karate chop massage, and like dressed like Mickey from Rocky was like, I liked that. That was really
Yeah.
effective to me.
Yeah, he's got a cute little purple hat on.
Yeah,
Very cute.
Gobo
Hope
has
you
a
don't see Wembley in
fucking
hats.
Gobo has an ugly ass hat in this episode though. I hated his
Yeah,
hat.
but Gobo's kind of always got ugly hats on, I think.
Somebody's got to talk to him about his hats. Somebody needs to help him out. The hats, man, they're no good.
We get to meet a great Richard Hunt character named Herkimer, who welcomes them to Rhyming Rock, where they must pause to hear the riddle. What do you feel about Herkimer?
I loved Herkimer.
Herkimer's pretty good.
Herkimer was a great introduction to Fraggle Rock. I mean, he's Richard has played other characters like this, but
Yeah,
but I love I just like he's just funny. Richard's always funny.
yeah. This is, I think, the voice that Richard typically uses for the more obnoxious characters.
Right.
Like, hey, what do you think you're doing, buddy?
Yeah.
But Herkimer doesn't quite go that far.
Yeah.
Like, he's got there's moments of Herkimer where I'm like, what are you afraid of? Because you seem nervous in a way where you know something bad is going to happen
Yeah.
if this
that's
riddle
true.
gets solved.
Yeah, Herkimer is like he's like a guy who feels like he used to be obnoxious, who like became a monk and has gotten some of his obnoxiousness under control. But every now and then he's still like, it still has flare ups.
Well, because he's also got the glimmer of like a guy who owns a roadside attraction that he knows is bullshit.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, stay behind the rope there.
Yeah,
Don't get too close. Don't touch it.
Can't look too deep into it. That's right.
Hey, you already paid. No refunds. Well, the Rhyming Rock lets out bing, bong, sing, song, ding, dong, gong.
I was very confused by the Rhyming Rock because first of all, I want to know who came up with the concept that was a riddle. That is never it's never really super clear that what he's doing is a riddle. Second of all, they say it changes every day. How is that possible? Changes to what every day? Like, why is that necessary that it changes every day?
And I don't remember, they referenced the previous days, and it was similarly obtuse in a way that I don't know if they were the Rhyming Rock was trying to get somebody to do the exact same thing, and it's just trying to figure out the best way to get somebody to do this, or if it truly is a completely different question being answered every day.
But when there's a bell hanging in the chamber with him.
Very conveniently located bell that no one apparently has ever tried to do anything about.
I don't see how it could be anything different, but I don't know why that was a necessary aspect when it is like he's had this one riddle forever. No one's ever been able to solve it. Is like more compelling, maybe even. Is like people have been trying for hundreds of years to figure out what the hell this guy's talking about.
Well, and I like the idea that Herkimer doesn't want anyone to solve it. Partially because it seems like he doesn't know what would happen, but also he says if you can't enjoy the rock for what it is, you have to leave.
Yeah.
So to him, the thing that's special about this rock is that it is an unsolved mystery. Right. So if somebody comes in and is just like, hey, solve your rock puzzle, it's like, oh, cool. You removed all the mystique from this room.
And that is like the end of the episode. They have removed the mystique from the room. Poor Herkimer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's Herkimer going to do now?
That would have been a better ending if Gobo had failed and had to come to terms with that, maybe. It's just like, well, some things no one's ever going to know.
Well, we learned that you only get 3 tries, and if you get it wrong, you never get to try again.
There's so many rules they lay out in this,
Yeah, also, once you start trying, you have to do all 3 of your tries in that same day.
Yeah, that's introduced a little bit later in the episode.
Yeah, it feels like they were like, shit. He started... we can't. There's no reason to make him wait till the next day. So what if we just make it a rule that he can't wait till the next day?
Yeah. It's a little too much of that in this episode for sure.
But Gobo the idiot guesses stalactite as his first.
He pulls a total
guess.
choke job.
Yeah, and everyone in the room knows it. Everyone's like, stalactite? What the hell are you thinking? He's like, it's like the sounds of it dripping. Bing bong, sing song, ding dong.
Pathetic.
And his second guess is stalagmite.
Embarrassing.
Which doesn't even drip because those are on the ground.
They get dripped upon.
But he doesn't even try to explain that one because he knows that was wrong.
He fucked up really bad.
And Herkimer mocks him and says, your name will be Gobo Failure after this.
Weird thing to say.
So instead of failing a third time, Gobo's like, hey, I'm going to go check in with the storyteller. She's usually helpful. So let's go find out if there's a way to solve this riddle that I'm not thinking about. And as usual, storyteller just wants to talk about that hunk of a man.
She's all hot and bothered over Traveling Matt, which is one of the best running jokes in all of Fraggle Rock.
Another character we don't actually see in this batch of episodes is old Uncle Traveling Matt.
You just see his past version and a little picture of him. I like that in the past it's not a thing where Matt is like, ew, no. I like that Matt's kind of also like, yeah, whatever. Let's make out, baby. Like when the story's over, then they start making out.
Yeah, no, it does not seem like this is a one-sided crush.
Right.
But Storyteller tells the Fraggles about the time that Uncle Traveling Matt discovered a riddle-solving spell. I think the one thing that got me with these episodes is not that there's magic, because obviously we've seen magic in other Fraggle Rock episodes. There's weird, convenient magic that isn't really well explained.
Yeah, very specific. And also the thing that bothered me about the riddle-solving spell was that it just is very straightforward and it works. Like it does actually solve
every time.
The riddles. Yeah,
it just works.
Yeah, and there's not the thing that there usually is in a story about magic where it's like it works, but this one is just like you just can't use it on something that's not a riddle. Otherwise, everything's fine.
Yeah, it's not the spell's fault; it's your fault.
Yeah.
Well, she has a picture of Matt hanging on her wall, and she reminisces about an even younger and more debonair, if you can believe it, Uncle Traveling Matt. We see him sharing his room with his great uncle Gobo, who is sorting his rock collection.
I forgot how much I liked Great Uncle Gobo.
Great Uncle Gobo is perfect because it lets Jerry Nelson, I feel like truly be, the Kermit the Frog, the like, I am annoyed by these idiots around me kind of character.
Yeah, and the only realistic character in the whole show, besides Red, in that he sees Uncle Matt for the absolute nightmare that he is. And I just love the concept that it's a line of uncles running through, like, unexplained. They're all just each other's uncles.
We see no parents whatsoever. It's just an uncle begets uncle begets uncle.
Yeah.
Well, young Uncle Matt rushes in and knocks over the rock collection as he tries to tell Gobo about the book of spells he found.
Okay, sorry. Here's something else that bothers me. Why'd it have to be a rock collection? And rocks? If rocks fell on your rock collection, you would say, more rocks for my rock collection. This is perfect.
Yeah, thank you for growing my rock collection.
Yeah. Or he makes Uncle Gobo drop a rock, and Uncle Gobo's like, shoot, I dropped my rock. Rocks are notoriously undamaged by dropping. Like, come on, you can drop a rock all you want.
That's science.
Why couldn't he have been collecting like glass rocks? Just make it glass rocks. And
crystals?
Like, my crystals were smashed by you fool. Instead of just my rocks were hit by other rocks is not really that big of a deal.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, it's not even like a pretty rock collection.
They're not cool
it's just
rocks.
Some boring round
They're
rocks.
Just some round rocks. Yeah.
Maybe that's supposed to be a character beat of like, look how boring Uncle Gobo is.
I guess
that he just collects the most boring ass rocks.
It would have been fun if his beautiful crystals had been smashed to dust by the rocks. Then you'd be like, "Oh, Uncle Matt, you absolute fool!"
Well, young storyteller comes in and like a little crop top, halter top situation.
Yeah.
It seems like they're doing like for her. Flashing back from the 80s is to the late 60s, early 70s.
That's I was thinking the same thing too. Yeah, definitely dressed like a hippie.
Well, she's here to see if Matt wants to go to the kissing chasm.
Yeah, baby.
But he's like, I gotta solve a riddle first. So
I feel like that's the most explicit reference. Well, besides the Gorgs, that's like the most explicit reference to Fraggle sex for sure.
I mean, I think we get a more clear one a little bit later in this episode.
Okay.
This is when Uncle Matt tries out the riddle spell, and it works. But then Storyteller gets distracted by her love of Uncle Traveling Matt and doesn't finish the story in an amount of time that is satisfactory to the Fraggles. And so
Yeah.
they wander off.
I feel like there's not much of an indication that the story will continue.
No, I will give them that, because she does just start zoning out.
Yeah.
And it seems like she got to the end of the story.
And I don't want to hear somebody talking about making out with my uncle. I'm leaving too.
So the Fraggles run off to find the spell book, but the Storyteller tries to yell after them and warn them that they didn't hear the most important part of the story about the dreadful things that can happen.
Mhm.
And maybe that means you're a bad storyteller.
Could be, yeah. You could have prefaced it by saying, "This is a story of woe. As much making out as there is in it, someone's
Yeah.
rocks are going to get hit by
It's
other rocks.
sexy, but I promise you,
you'll be
something
crying
bad's
by the
gonna
end of
happen.
it. Yeah.
Well, up in Doc and Sprocket world, Doc has seemingly completed the automatic pie maker, but he turns it on, makes a bunch of clinking sounds, and sprays him in the face with whipped cream.
Was there any doubt he would fuck this up in any
Not
reality?
at all.
Yeah.
Well, down in Fraggle Rock, Gobo is hunting for the spell book while Wembley tries to keep up his riddle training. Because Wembley is like, hey, if you're going to try and solve this riddle rock, you're going to need to work hard. And Gobo's like, ha! I'm going to get a magic book to solve all my problems.
And it does.
It'll only make problems
Sorta.
for you, Wembley.
Yeah.
This is the moment where Gobo leads us into a song in a very Muppet Babies kind of way, where they're searching for a spell book, and he just sort of says, this reminds me of that old song.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Wembley's like, what old song? And Gobo's like, dun-dun-dun-dun, gah.
I don't even remember what this dang song is.
It's The Secret Rhyme, which is a very good song.
Right.
It's another one of those that just sounds, no shade to Jerry Nelson as a performer. There are songs where it sounds like Gobo is singing a song,
Mhm.
and there are songs where it sounds like Jerry Nelson is singing a
Oh,
song.
yeah. This is one where it starts off and the lip syncing is almost a little bit off, and you're like, whose voice is that?
Yeah, and it sounds very much more like Jerry Nelson than Gobo.
Yeah.
But
It
this
does
is the one
also
that has
sound like a song that came from something else. Like it's not for this episode. Like maybe this
Right.
was in a different episode. I don't think it was, but yeah, it's not really like pertinent exactly.
I mean, it's called The Secret Rhyme.
Yeah, but they're trying to figure out a riddle,
True.
you know? I think there's a lot of mixing up riddles and rhymes in this. I even feel like the rocks thing is a riddle in the end after all. It's just a riddle you solve with like physical actions instead of a single answer. It's a puzzle.
Right. More of a puzzle, yeah.
I suppose, yes.
Well, they go back to Herkimer after the song, and Herkimer is still very against solving the riddle. But Gobo tries the spell, and immediately a bunch of giant rocks fall from the ceiling. I thought crushing both Wembley and Herkimer.
It does. The rocks do hit everybody.
Yeah, but apparently Herkimer got out of the way at the last second.
Yeah.
And he tells Gobo that he has ruined one of the wonders of Fraggledom.
Yeah, because the rock is also just dead. It's given up.
Oh, and by the way, Wembley is trapped.
Yeah. I love the Wembley trapped subplot. It's very short, but it's really cute because you just see his little eyes poking out of the rocks. But also Herkimer's like, well, my wonder's dead, but I have an idea for a new wonder, the trapped Fraggle. Would you like to be my new wonder? And then Wembley's like, I already have a job. I'm the siren. I can't do it. I thought that was great.
Well, in Herkimer's pitch, he's like, what, people are going to want to come see the trapped Fraggle under a rock? A real Fraggle Rock. Maybe this is a good idea.
Yeah.
I also like there's a moment where Gobo's like, Wembley, you okay in there? And he's like, oh yeah, just trapped, probably forever.
Yeah, they've undercut being trapped forever so much at this point.
Right. Boomer and Red nearly suffocate together and have a very touching moment. And Wembley's like, I think I'm okay, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he's got to wonder what were Boober and Red so worried about back then.
Yeah. This is fine. Well, they go back to Storyteller, who says, yeah, this happened because Gobo didn't listen to my story. And she starts off the rest of the story. And this is the part where she says, we all know how impetuous young Matt was, though not as impetuous as some of us would have wished.
That's right.
So that's saying more of like they didn't have sex, but she
Maybe
was
they just didn't
trying.
have enough sex in enough different ways for her, you know?
Right. As spontaneously as she was hoping for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, back in the flashback, we get Uncle Gobo asking Uncle Traveling Matt if he has finally crossed over the fine line into madness. And Matt's like, ooh, a riddle. I'm going to use my spell book to figure out what the answer to that is. And so that's when we see, the same thing happened to Uncle Traveling Matt. A bunch of rocks fell on them. And this is when he ruins Uncle Gobo's rock collection.
I just kind of think like the result of the spell going awry being a rock slide is also kind of like we couldn't think of anything better for it to be, you know?
Yeah, and again, sort of contrary to the next episode where Gobo is super stoked about going to look at gray rocks. And everyone's like, we got rocks and tunnels for days.
Yes.
It's the most boring shit in the world at this point.
Yeah.
And this episode's just like, I don't know, rocks.
Yeah. And it's like also the people who work on the show were like, well, what could it be? We have all these rocks. So I suppose it could just be that.
Yeah. What do we got that we can throw at other Fraggles? I don't know. We built a lot of rocks before.
So
all right, let's just throw some rocks.
So many foam rocks.
But we learned that it went wrong because a riddle wasn't being asked, just a question. And it turns out that the Rhyming Rocks riddle isn't a riddle. Storyteller tells Gobo to keep reading the spell book to figure out how to solve this problem. And at this point, I, and maybe the characters, forgot that Wembley is still trapped under some rocks.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that much. Gobo's more sad about killing the rock, I think.
Yeah, he's still pretty hung up on trying to solve this.
Yeah. Also, whoever said, I'd love to know in the first place, whoever said it was a riddle. Who came up with the idea that it was trying to do a riddle?
Right. Was this Herkimer doing some marketing for the rock?
Right.
Or was this somebody who passed this on to Herkimer as like an old Fraggle legend?
And in that case, why not start the episode with the rock being called Riddle Rock and then by the end call it Rhyming Rock or something? Oh.
Well, Gobo is going to read the rest of the magic spell book to find a spell to reverse all other spells. But back with Herkimer, this is when we see him being really upset about losing out on his roadside attraction. And this is when he starts to spin it into a positive of getting people to come look at Wembley trapped under a rock.
Yeah. The image of Wembley's little eyes under the rock and they're like doing the rotation thing. Yeah. I think it like gave it a star. That little part gave it a whole star because it's just so fun.
They lit it interestingly in a way that they didn't have to. They could have just had Wembley's voice coming out from under a pile of rocks, but to have his little face poking out added a nice dimension to it.
I love his spinning eyes. I don't ever feel like I get enough of his little spinning eyes.
I feel like we've talked in the past about maybe they overdo it sometimes.
I'm coming back around on it. I wish more Muppets had eyes that move.
Yeah.
It makes them look almost like too alive.
But you want that.
Yeah. I think I do want that. Yeah.
That's why I like Elmo's little like eye crinkle thing that he can do.
That.
He's like, meh.
He met Rocco again. Did you see that?
I saw, in Paris. I wonder if Elmo was like, I thought we were past this, guys.
Yeah. And Rocco also was like that. This is hacky.
There's a good picture of Rocco wearing a beret in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Rocco's just soaking it up.
Do you think... I didn't look back at like the clips to see if Rocco has always been the same rock.
Oh, I wondered the same thing. Is this Rocco look different than that Rocco? Have they recast Rocco?
Did they get to Paris and like, fuck, nobody brought the rock?
Yeah.
Grab one of those from near the river or whatever.
Yeah. Or was Rocco sitting in a place of pride in the Sesame Street studios and everybody knew exactly where Rocco was?
Yeah, he got a first-class ticket to Paris.
Because that clip got famous well after that had happened, right? Is that right? Who knows?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah. I believe the Rocco clip had been around for quite a while, or the episode had been around for quite a while before the Rocco clip started to go viral.
Making the rounds, so they could have thrown Rocco away several years before that.
Very true. This is like a Paul is dead situation. Has Rocco been replaced?
Yeah. This and the giant animal head. Those are the two things we have to find.
But getting back to Gobo's spell, hey, it works. It reverses in a very cool filmed in reverse sequence where the rocks fly up off of Wembley into the ceiling and Wembley is freed. Herkimer is thrilled until Gobo still wants to solve the secret of Rhyming Rock, which is not a riddle, but instructions. And for that, he needs a bell, which is luckily
Just
right
right
over
there
there.
on the wall. Hey, nobody ever looked over here.
So it's bing bong, you ring the bell. Sing song, sing a little bit of your
Sing
theme
the
song.
Fraggle Rock theme song, yeah.
And then ding dong, ring the bell again. And the rhyming rock pauses. And then a bunch of plants grow out of the walls and start to play music.
Yeah. That doesn't sound like diegetic music. It sounds non-diegetic, but they can all hear it. It is like a funky disco beat.
Well, and Gobo looks kind of right at us
Uh-huh.
and says, "Weary traveler, heed this rhyme, and you will dance in time."
Okay.
And that's the
Thanks for
end.
letting us know.
Has a Fraggle ever broken the fourth wall like that?
I feel like Boober has talked to us before. Or been like, can you believe?
Or side bottom at least.
So, I think so. I think somebody who looks like Boober, one or the other, has indeed spoken to us before. And maybe even Junior Gorg has spoken to us before.
Maybe. There might be a little bit of like, whoa, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah. My dad's a
but
real
like to
asshole.
look at us and give us give us the
I think he like points
moral.
to us. Like he's really seeing us in this moment.
Well, it's almost like a warning. Like, weary traveler, heed this rhyme.
Yeah.
And you will dance in time.
We're all stuck dancing forever now.
Yeah, I wish this solution was a little bit more meaningful, but I think overall a fine episode.
I think so too. I just feel like nobody really learns anything that in particular interesting, especially since like the outcome. I think I would have liked it better if the outcome had been like, well, Gobo, you didn't ever figure it out. So
well, and the fact that, it's not that he refused to listen to storytellers' warnings. It's just that he happened to walk away. And the solution is he just goes back and she's like, oh, yeah, just here's the rest. And he's like, oh, okay, problem solved.
And also the spell reverses everything too. So nothing.
Yeah, there's no peril.
Really.
Like we're never actually worried about Wembley in this episode.
Yeah.
There's not a lot for Gobo to learn.
Right.
So, yeah.
Sometimes the reason, like an interesting lesson would be sometimes things just are, and you can go look at them and enjoy them, but there's no solution to them.
Right. That's a good lesson. Yeah, I like that. But Doc and Sprocket are learning the lesson that maybe instruction booklets are important.
Yeah.
Because the pie maker is now working, but the pie flies out with force right into Doc's face.
I'm glad he can have some fun with it, though. He's not mad. Doc isn't really mad in any of these episodes. He's really calmed down a lot.
And he tells us the lesson of there's no substitute for the whole story.
Yeah. It seems like he watched the episode also. And
yeah, because like instruction booklets, equating them to a full story is a little weird.
Yeah. I appreciate the effort put into tying these together, but
he also hasn't successfully followed the instructions and built the machine at the end of the episode prove that is the solution.
Yeah. What if he builds it and it still does that? It's just a bad machine.
Also, he did a pretty good job. He got really close to having it work.
I think so.
Well, what would you rate that episode, Sam?
I give that one 3 because I kind of respected the scope of it. I liked the new sets. I thought the rock looked really cool. The rock looked like it was going to like open a mouth and start talking, but it never did. But I thought the rock looked cool. I liked Herkimer a lot. I liked that it was like an adventure that spanned time. But I was disappointed by the ending and just like the concept of the spell. Like the plot wasn't very interesting, but the way that they told it was interesting.
So the last episode we watched this week is The Voice Inside from January 19th, 1987, written by Laura Phillips and directed by Eric Till. This episode kicks off with Doc and Sprocket out on a walk outside on a snowy bridge.
I loved this.
It's filmed so smartly, like from a low angle, so it looks like Sprocket is really walking across this bridge.
Yeah. Imagine how flat the person had to get on the ground to make it look like that.
There's been a clip going around from another puppet show recently that I don't know the name of, where they show somebody laying on their back puppeteering across a bridge and someone's pulling their legs.
Them. Oh, yeah, right. I bet that's probably what was happening here, too. They're probably on a rope or something.
Or like one of those mechanics, like creepers, like those wheeled trays that you lay down on.
Right.
Maybe someone was just pulling them along. Because it's extremely impressive in a way that you don't think about it.
Yeah. He I mean this part was great, and I loved to see them. I know that one of their things that they wanted to do was to get them out of the workshop, and I think
Yeah.
that that's been pretty effective overall, I think. But this part was just like, I like to see them out doing their thing. It's like I want to see the Muppet Babies be outside. It's like it's nice to see these guys are allowed to be outside and that they're friends out in the real world too.
Well, and that, sometimes Sprocket gets to be a real dog and go on walks and isn't just a
Yeah.
coworker.
Sprocket was going ham in this episode. He was being a bad boy.
Well, if you want to go walk across this bridge, I can tell you where it's at. It's in Serena Gundy Park in Toronto, Ontario. So if you're looking to visit this bridge, it's in that park, and it's right by parking lot number 3, Sunnybrook Park, on a map. So you too can go walk on the bridge. Well, Doc, while walking Sprocket, is telling him about his instincts and says, "These old guts inside of me have led me on some fascinating adventures, scientifically speaking."
What does that mean?
I think
he
he,
means
like-
scientifically speaking, you might call it instincts. I think it's leading into the next sentence. But it
You
is
think
the
so?
first time because I went back and watched this part again, and then the first time I was like, what the hell is he talking about? Then the second time I was like, I think that maybe he's talking about this.
Oh. See, I think he was, to me, talking himself up too much when he said, "These old guts have led me on some fascinating adventures," and then realized he's like, "But I'm not Indiana Jones, so, scientifically speaking,
I saw a plant
I've
or something
done-
is what he means.
yeah, like cool adventures in my workshop."
Yeah. Or within the 2-mile radius of my home.
Yeah. But Sprocket doesn't care because he's decided
'Cause
today's
he's a
the day
fucking
he's going to
dog.
run away.
Yeah. I think today I'll go in a hole.
He dives into this big pile of snow, and for now, we have to leave it there because we don't know what's about to happen to Sprocket. So down in Fraggle Rock, Gobo is planning a trip with his whole crew to go look at Gray Rock Ridge. But everyone is super bored because his trip involves just seeing rocks and tunnels, which is pretty much what they do every single day. Red and Moki tell him they don't want to go. Moki's going to go down to Convoluted Creek to study the lifestyles of the Enigma fish.
Which sounds fascinating to me.
Yeah, Convoluted Creek sounds way more interesting than Gray Rock Ridge.
Yep.
Boober pretends that someone is calling for him, so he runs off.
That's like almost out of character for Boober, right?
Yeah, it's sort of like the episode we had where he was playing pranks on Wembley, and we were like,
Oh, yeah, right. I forgot about that.
Well, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little out of character just because, again, this boring shit is right up Boober's alley. But for him to be deceiving, and it's just weird how little Boober is in these episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Wembley is sick in bed with a rock dust allergy outbreak. And even though it sounds like he, could maybe die if he was exposed to more rock dust, Gobo's like, "Yeah, come on, though.
Yeah.
It'll be fun."
Wembley's like, yeah, I guess I could still come.
But Wembley stops himself and says, "Whoa, I just had one of those feelings. And I don't think I can go because my stomach is telling me not to go." And Gobo doesn't want to go alone this time, even though he has dozens of times.
Yeah.
And he said, "You know what, Wembley, you should use your head because my head says we should go." And Wembley very smartly points out that maybe Gobo's guts are trying to tell him something because he doesn't want to go alone. And maybe that's a sign.
Yeah.
And this, to me, I know they weren't, but this episode started to feel like, is Gobo gonna die?
It does feel like an episode where somebody should have died.
I feel like there's episodes of Lost like this, where somebody's trying to get everyone else rallied up to go do something, and then they have to end up doing it alone, and something horrible happens to them. And I felt like that's what we were leading up to, was like, oh no, Gobo's going to end up being right about something, but it's going to cost him his life. Well, speaking of Lost, up in the real world, Doc has lost Sprocket, who seems to be having fun hiding from him in this little hole where, for just a second, you get to see a little bit of a puppeteer's head pop out.
Oh, no, I missed that.
It seems like there's like 2 holes in this snow pile he jumps into, and you see him come out of one, and then you see like a little top of a head creep into the other hole.
Mm-hmm.
One of the few, puppeteer sightings I feel like we get on Fraggle
Yeah,
Rock.
I feel like I've never noticed one, but
But while Sprocket is having his fun, he slips backwards into the hole and ends up in Fraggle Rock.
That's fine. He'd been there before.
Yeah, but how easy must it be for a toddler to wander into Fraggle
Into
Rock?
Fraggle Rock, that would be terrifying. They can't take care of a baby, no way.
That'd be a good episode.
They would.
Just a human baby ends up in Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, they wouldn't know what to do.
Well, we get a sad Gobo song called You're On Your Own, where for some reason he puts on a straw skimmer hat and carries a cane.
Yeah.
And starts to
Sad,
sing his sad song.
Except it's a vaudeville song. It's like a goofy soft shoe he does.
I think this is actually the song with the flute bird.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
He's got like a whole chorus of additional Fraggle creatures helping him out.
I thought the songs in this episode were really good. I liked them a lot.
This would also be a great song if it's the last thing he sings before his death.
Yeah.
It's a Bert Cooper moment is what this is.
Yeah, you're right. He appears to Wembley after his death. Does this little dance.
Wearing this hat and cane, and Wembley's like, "What's going on, Gobo? What happened? Did you come back from Grey Rock Bridge?" He's like, "No, I didn't, Wembley."
Oh, that's way better. That's good. Every episode, the last 4 episodes, they just kill off all the Fraggles.
Yeah. How do we wrap this up so people know we're really done? Well, what if we killed a character per episode?
Here's what the Gorgs were going to do to them if they ever truly caught them. Time to reveal.
Well, Hammerhead and Wrench Doozer are mocking Cotterpin as she tries to tell them stories about the adventures with the Fraggles that she's been on.
Mm-hmm.
And they, one, don't seem to believe her, but two, even if they do believe her, think it's idiotic to be an explorer.
Yeah, she's too braggadocious for their taste, no matter how you slice it.
Fair. It would suck if somebody's constantly just telling you stories about a cooler time they had without you.
It's like friends who go to summer camp and then they come back and the whole year they talk about summer camp. You're like, great. Mm-hmm. Why don't you go live at summer camp if you like the people who go there so much?
So Wrench Doozer does wander off, but has a moment where he's wondering, what's the big deal about these explorers? What's the big deal about looking around the next corner? And he's like, well, you know what? I'll try it out. Let's see what is around this next corner.
Is Wrench much svelter than other Doozers? Wrench kind of has a gray alien body, I feel like.
He's got a more vertical head, for sure.
Yeah. I think he's in better shape. I think he's he's got a big upper body and a kind of a tiny lower body. There's something about him that creeps me out, and I think it's because he looks like a gray alien to me.
Well, turns out what was around the next corner? A steep drop-off of a Doozer bridge, where he falls seemingly to his death for the first time, but not the last time in this episode, but lands on top of the dog Sprocket, who is in Fraggle Rock, who starts to freak out a bit and tries to get Wrench off of his head by scratching against the rock and running around, and eventually runs right into Gobo. Back up in the world of Doc and Sprocket, Doc returns to the workshop and talks to Ned Schimmelfinney on the phone, where Ned reveals that very sweetly he's going to search the neighborhood for Sprocket.
Yeah, that was sweet. I wonder why Ned was calling in the first place, because he called Doc, and then Doc's like, Sprocket's missing. I guess he's
like, hey, Doc,
what's up?
There's some old man yelling outside. Do you know what's going on?
I guess I don't understand Doc standing with Ned Schimmelfinney, because I thought Doc didn't hate him and Sprocket did hate him. But do they both hate him?
I'm getting a little bit more of a Mr. Wilson kind of vibe, where Mr. Wilson and Dennis kind of hate each other. But also, there's a love underneath that.
That's true. Mr. Wilson would help Dennis look for Hot Dog? Is that Dennis the Menace's dog's name? This dog is named Ruff. Hot Dog is Dennis's cat.
That's pretty good.
Fun.
Well, Sprocket is still freaking out, running around, crashing into the rock, dumps Gobo and Wrench off of his back. And Gobo, nicely and calmly, is like, hey, Sprocket. He doesn't call him Sprocket. He doesn't know his name.
Yeah.
He calls him the hairy monster from outer space.
It kind of bothers me he doesn't know his name. There's got to be a way he can learn this guy's name. Or he's got to come up with a better name for him than the hairy monster from outer space.
I don't think he knows that's insulting, though.
Yeah, I guess so.
So he asks him what he's doing down there, and Sprocket mimes to us how he got there. But neither Wrench nor Gobo can understand what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah.
Even after he tries 3 times.
And I don't know why they bother to do this.
This whole episode, I'm I enjoy this episode as a whole. This moment was like, all right, we can move on from
Yeah.
this. Clearly, this is not going to mean anything.
Yeah.
And this is probably the reason why he hasn't tried to teach him his name, is because he can't even understand I fell in a hole.
Well, there's like one time when Sprocket's miming is pretty successful, but then I feel like the other times it's just like I wouldn't know what you're talking about either.
Well, because I think there was a time where he was trying to mime the word Fraggle to Doc.
Yes.
And Doc almost got it and
He
like almost figured it
get
out.
it. That's right.
So Sprocket knows that these are Fraggles. Like he
Yeah.
knows Gobo Fraggle, but
Yeah.
Gobo Fraggle doesn't know Sprocket.
Right.
It's kind of sad.
It is kind of sad. That would be really frustrating. And I guess that's what happens to toddlers, you know, once they can start understanding words but can't say them.
Well, Gobo asks Sprocket and Wrench to join him on his exploration. And I do like that they're tossing together these random groups. I think this one is more effective than the red Cotterpin and Ma combo, partially because I think for that one, Cotterpin dips pretty quickly. And two, Mavis is there to sort of throw off this dynamic of characters we already know.
Sure, of people that we know. Yeah. I like
so
the setup, but I feel like by the end of the episode, it hasn't done enough with it.
I think they had to visit the Gorgs, honestly.
Oh.
I think they had to add the extra layer of bringing all the worlds together.
Sure.
Of like Gorg, Real World, Doozer, and Fraggle all in
Yeah.
one episode, all in one adventure, to truly make it feel connected.
Yeah. And I think even like though the place that they go is dangerous, it's one of the least interesting dangerous places that they've been. Because it's dangerous in like a really normal way. It's just windy and there's a rock slide.
Well, and it's momentarily dangerous where, by the end, the other Fraggles are able to very quickly just appear there.
Right.
But first, we get a song called Travelin' Free, which is kind of just a fun traveling song about three pals on an adventure.
It's almost kind of only about two pals on an adventure, which made me feel kind of bad for whoever because he's just like me. It's just me and you. And there's another guy here too, I guess. Which one isn't the guy they're talking about?
Wembley's still trying to trust his feelings and not worry about Gobo. But Cotterpin, who uses her head, like Gobo, is worried about Wrench.
This doesn't really necessarily pay off at all.
Not really, other than to show that like maybe we should investigate what's happening, because Gobo said he was going on an exploration, so Wembley doesn't necessarily need to worry because this happens all the time. Wrench Doozer just suddenly disappearing is a bit more concerning.
Right, but nothing they do changes the outcome of the adventure at all. Like they don't have to save Wembley and Cotterpin don't have to save anybody. They just show up at the end.
Yeah, I can't even remember. Cotterpin does show up at the end.
Oh no. Is that a question?
I don't know. Yes, it is.
I
don't remember.
I know
Wembley
she does.
I know Wembley and Red show up at the end, but I don't remember if Cotterpin's with them. But it would be weird if she wasn't.
Cotterpin is implied, at least.
Well, it turns out Wrench is having a great time with Sprocket and Gobo because Wrench's favorite color is gray.
Oh yeah,
so
Sprocket's a big gray guy, and there's gray rocks everywhere.
Yeah, this is Wrench's ideal vacation. But suddenly Gobo gets a gut feeling that they shouldn't go any further. But Wrench eggs him on a little bit, and he gives into the peer pressure and is like, you know what? Yeah, guts are stupid. So let's go forward.
Why is Sprocket even here?
Great question. To add a dynamic, interesting puppet to the mix.
Okay.
Beyond that,
what is
I don't have a good answer.
What's his stance on guts? I need to know. Is he pro, con?
I mean, yeah, I don't think we get much clarity on Sprocket's feelings on the matter. He's just there, I guess, to give Doc something else to do. And I'd say it's more interesting than a lot of things Doc and Sprocket have done to make him lost in Fraggle Rock.
I like that.
But you're right that he doesn't necessarily need to be there.
Yeah. I was kind of expecting it to be like a Wizard of Oz thing where each of them was going to like learn something about themselves.
Yeah.
But Sprocket's perfect as he is. Nothing to learn.
Well, they have to travel through a horrible dust storm where thankfully Gobo is able to find Sprocket, which I think he gives Sprocket credit for helping him get out of the dust storm, which maybe is them trying to explain why Sprocket is there. Because he says, I would have been lost forever in that dust storm if it wasn't for you.
I think Sprocket, right, and then Sprocket sniffs out Wrench later, but yeah, there is something about Sprocket is the one strong enough to like get them out of it or something like that, because he grabs onto his tail. Yeah, that's right.
He also saves Wrench after nearly killing Wrench.
Yeah, that's true.
Because after Gobo finds Sprocket, they're walking through the dust storm, and suddenly Wrench is like, "Hey, look out for the cliff!" And they're like, "Oh, thank goodness, Wrench!" But after thanking him, Sprocket punts him off the edge of the cliff.
Yeah, it sure does. So I guess Wrench's special power is that he can see cliffs. Is that what we're to glean from this?
That's why he's here.
Yeah.
Well, Wrench gets buried under what Muppet Wiki tells us is a pile of Honey Smacks cereal.
And they sure are.
They look exactly like Honey Smacks cereal.
Yeah,
they didn't even
puffed.
spray paint them or anything.
No, they didn't. I guess on a regular TV, it wouldn't be quite as apparent, but it's quite apparent.
Oh, I meant to ask you in the last episode, are you an instruction booklet guy?
No, God, no. If I'm putting together a piece of furniture or something, I am. If I'm plugging in like a piece of electronics or something like that, I don't know, I just plug it in and then figure it out from there. 50% of things that I do, I don't look at the instruction book. That's probably true.
Wild.
But I should for some stuff. Like, I never know how to use like cameras I have because it's like, what could this symbol mean? No way to find out.
Do you ever get to the end of a building project and you have a lot of extra pieces left over?
Well, you know what? I built so many Legos. I use the instructions for that. So I guess I do use. I'm an instruction book guy. I think I'm not a user's manual guide. Maybe that's more what it is. Like the initial setup.
You don't try to wing it on Lego?
No, I'm bad at that. I wish I was good at it.
Oh, I think I respect that you don't wing it, because I feel like I've been around or I've heard of people who build Lego and they get like 10 steps into a bag and they realize, oh no, I missed like 5 whole steps because I was just trying to assume that I knew what I was doing. And I'm like, that's not how Lego works.
That's not right. Yeah. But you are an instruction booklet guy.
Oh, 100%.
And a user's manual guide. Have you read your car's user manual?
I've not read it front to back.
To cover. But you've consulted.
But I have read it. Yes, I have consulted the manual.
Yeah.
But yes, I think I am 100% an instruction booklet person. Like if I'm building anything, I am reading that front to back. I am using the recommended tools, all that. When it comes to user manuals, less so because YouTube exists. And I will more readily watch a 45-minute video about how to use my camera than read the instruction booklet that came with my camera.
Smart. I should try that.
Well, Gobo and Sprocket pretty quickly find Wrench, which I was kind of surprised by. That they didn't have to really hunt for him at all.
No, he sniffs him out. I think is the implication, right? That Sprocket sniffs him.
That makes sense.
Sprocket finds him for sure. He's over there somewhere.
Well, because he's buried under the Honey Smacks, and Sprocket has to dig him out.
Yeah.
So Gobo probably would have walked right past that pile of cereal and not even thought to look for Wrench there.
Sprocket was just eating the cereal. Yum, yum.
Well, the three of them make a campfire and relax after this near-death experience. And Gobo says if Wembley had been here, he might not have made it because he's got his rock dust allergy.
Yeah, I feel like this episode really fizzles out at the end. They're just like, well, that's over.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Just sitting here.
The big climactic thing is the dust storm.
Yeah.
And then Wrench kind of almost dying, but very quickly getting rescued. And then they're sitting around the fire being like, oh, shit, that was crazy. And Gobo imagining like, wow, I'm glad Wembley didn't come along because he definitely would have died.
That is the funniest part. It's like, I just assumed my friend would have died, I suppose. Maybe they should have, like, I don't know, if Wembley had come on the trip and had a asthma attack, and that would have been actual peril. But
well, it gets even weirder because the moment after he says that is when Wembley and Red run into this cave where they're having the campfire.
Right.
And to me, I'm like, oh, they're in this cave having a campfire because they're trying to survive. Like they just made
that's what I thought too.
Experience
that they had like found a place where the wind wasn't howling through, but they had just gotten out.
Yeah, and apparently maybe the dust storm isn't a problem anymore, or Wembley didn't have to come through the dust storm to find them because, they don't explain that Wembley just found them pretty easily and didn't have to go through his own peril to get to them.
Right.
Like
maybe the next episode will be, here's the story from Wembley's point of view.
There's no chance that's happening. Well, Sprocket finally emerges from his Fraggle hole and reunites with Doc. And this is when Doc says, you know what? Deep down inside, I knew things were going to be all right. So trust your gut, kids. Or Read the instruction manual.
I wish they had shown them helping Sprocket get back up the hole. They don't though, do they?
No.
He just pops out.
He's just like, all right, gotta go.
Yeah.
But what did you rate that episode, Sam?
I rated that one 3 because I also kind of appreciated the scope of that one, and I liked the setup of those 3 friends going on an adventure. But I was a little disappointed. I would revise it to a 2.5 because they didn't learn anything about each other. Like when people go on an adventure with Cotterpin, they usually learn like something deep about each other, but they didn't in this one, and like it just didn't live up to the setup of the story. And the end is just like, well, we're done now.
Yeah, Gobo didn't really learn anything from Wrench or Sprocket
No.
by them being there. Well, yeah, I think none of these episodes are like all-time great episodes of television or anything. But I think all 3 of them were better than Muppet Babies.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, you still have to just appreciate the puppetry of all of this, which is world class, never been better. Yeah. Amazing that they can tell these kind of stories without doing like a Hans my Hedgehog and cutting to someone saying, and then Gobo fell in a hole. We'll just show Gobo fall in the hole.
Oh, man. I feel like I've already erased Hans my Hedgehog from my brain.
Not me. I'm
like,
excited
if you ask
to
me,
watch more of that.
Like, if you were like, oh, the audio file got corrupted, we have to re-record that episode, I'd be like, well, I don't remember a single thing about it, so that's going to be a problem.
I just remember those kids standing on a big pile of broccoli in that one part. That's the part that stands out the most to me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't even know if we mentioned it in the episode, but there's a really odd transition where the storyteller is talking about people bullying Hans my Hedgehog, and he also has like, you know, like when you get French fries at a fancy place and they put them in the metal cup. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He has a metal cup like that, but it's full of broccoli. And he pours broccoli on a plate for himself. And then the bullies pop up from behind the broccoli and they're standing on the mound of broccoli being like, you're a freak, you're a freak. But the transition is broccoli.
That's one of those like music video moments that they sought out.
It's just funny that
for that episode
is broccoli. But it made me think about like, maybe broccoli was like candy in the Middle Ages. Like they were like, wow, the sweet treat that is broccoli.
Or these kids are making fun of this dude for eating broccoli.
Yeah, maybe
only nerds like broccoli.
They were really there, just really little guys who run around making fun of people for eating broccoli. But Fraggle Rock doesn't have that problem.
No broccoli in Fraggle Rock.
No, they wouldn't know what to do with it if they found it.
But, you know, how you feeling about this being the last season of Fraggle Rock?
I'm excited to see how it all wraps up and to watch the Fraggles are unemployed video and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm like not. I think Fraggle Rock deserves to be thought of as amazing, but I am ready to move on to like the next big weird thing that we're gonna watch. Like I'm ready for the Jim Henson Hour, ready for the more unstable era of like, well, now none of the big projects are going on anymore. So what the heck is gonna happen?
Yeah, I think the Jim Henson Hour is the thing I'm most curious about, because some of these things I feel like we're watching, whether it's Fraggle Rock, Muppet Babies, or Storyteller, obviously they were set up for Jim not to be super directly involved.
Right.
And so to have something where not only is he directly involved, but he's on screen, it being a huge part of it, will be a nice little change of pace.
Yeah, and this is kind of, I know this isn't true, but this feels like one of the last things that I haven't seen or I'm not really familiar with. And the last thing that could be like, this might be really, really good. But I know there's other stuff obviously I haven't seen, but this is like the last big question mark in my head.
Well, especially of the Jim Henson era, which does feel like we're
totally
going to be closing a chapter on the part of this podcast when we get through with everything Jim Henson was directly involved in.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, before we get out of here, I got to know, what non-Muppet things have you enjoyed this week? I'm not like watching a lot of shows right now. I am watching a little bit of the Olympics. We watched the skateboarding mostly, and I've watched a little bit of basketball. But I need to go and just like stream all the stuff that I haven't watched that I'm interested in watching. But I've been keeping up with like the Olympic memes and stuff. I feel like this year is like a particularly funny Olympics, it must be, or something. Just seems like the lady with the gun everybody was like, wow, cool lady with the gun. Or like that thing Paolo posted that got like 1 billion retweets. Did you see that? The surfer who wiped out, and so he's just
bare ass, like face down, bare ass up in the air. And the guy with glasses and the guy whose penis knocked the pole over. The Olympics are just really going off this year. So I've been enjoying the Olympics just as a concept, because I also feel like when the Olympics are happening, the world makes more sense. And the world also feels like we're living in an anime where all conflict is resolved via sport. And there's like a better universe out there where the Olympics are always going on. And it's just like,
Right.
well, we'll have a race and then we'll figure out who's right. But I've also been playing this game called Wilmot's Warehouse for Switch, and it's like for everything. I think it's kind of old game. It's from 2019, but it's a game where you're a little guy and it's a puzzle game mostly, and you have a little warehouse, and every day new stuff gets shipped to your warehouse, and it's all just like a square with kind of an abstract shape in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And every week more and more stuff comes, and you have to figure out how to sort it correctly in your warehouse and then remember where it is when people come and ask for it. So you might be like, well, this is the animal section, or you might be like, this is the blue section, and then you just have to like keep it straight in your head as things get slowly out of control. And there's not like much downtime between rounds, so then you have to like power sort everything, and it's like soothing and stressful, and it's just like a video game, and I love just like a video game where you're doing
It
something
also
very
feels like
video
work
gamey.
a little bit. Like we know
It's-
people with this job.
yeah, totally. I was telling our friend Val about this, and they were like, why would I ever want to play that a million years? I was like,
That is
well,
my day-to-day life.
it's not mine. So except in a really abstract way, I suppose. but no, it's the funnest part of it to me is how weird all the shapes and stuff get, and it just like keeps escalating to like, I think I have a handle on this, but now I have whatever the fuck this is, and I have no idea where I'm going to put this, and it's making me rethink like every shape before it to try to sort it into a thing. But yeah, I like it.
I mean, not too dissimilar. I've been playing a lot of F1 Manager 24,
Yeah.
which, during the race scenes, like you're controlling how fast your driver is driving, or if they're going to use more fuel or more tires, or when they're going to pit and stuff like that. So that feels more active. But then in between, you're like hiring people and answering emails and watching the budget in a way where I'm like, this feels a little bit too much like work sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I think I just love management sims for some reason. I like Dwarf Fortress is one of my favorite games, and like the SimCity games. I love SimCity. So maybe that's why I'm a manager, is because I love to like put my little pixels to work and be like, everything's running as it should. And then there's an earthquake. But that is really just life. So I guess, yeah, maybe I need to like investigate why I feel that way a little bit more. Yeah.
Well, I've also been watching the Olympics. I didn't watch any of the things you've been talking about. I watched judo, swimming, gymnastics, some track. But I also revisited a movie last night from my childhood, Little Giants, which is Rick Moranis of Little Shop of Horrors. But it's also got Ed O'Neill, who's in Modern Family, that I've been watching. So it's a nice little crossover. And yeah, I think it holds up if you liked it as a kid. I don't know how good Little Giants is if you go and watch it for the first time in your 30s, but Devin seemed to enjoy it.
I have never seen this. I missed out on that whole sports-based childhood set of movies. Like I didn't watch Sandlot when I was a kid. I didn't watch any of that stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah, see, I was all in on any sports kids movie. Cool Runnings, Little Giants, all movies I own on VHS. And the last thing I watched this week that I feel like is worth mentioning, because I think we mentioned I was going to go watch it on the last episode, was Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh yeah, I forgot. What'd you think?
I enjoyed myself.
Okay.
I don't think it's the best movie ever.
Well,
I think there's a lot with it that I didn't necessarily enjoy, but I think my summary of it that I've been telling people is that I'm glad that every movie isn't like this movie, but I'm glad that some movies are like this movie. Because I think from time to time, We need something just to knock us down a peg and say, hey, don't take shit too seriously. It's okay
Yeah.
to be silly. It's okay to have fun. That being said, I don't know if I'll ever watch that movie again.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I just feel like there's so many surprises and cameos and things that happen that are really fun to watch in a theater for the first time,
Uh-huh.
but maybe aren't going to be as fun to watch for a second time at home in a year.
I have remained pretty much unspoiled on it, but I haven't seen it yet.
I think you should go see it.
Okay.
I think it's definitely worth seeing. I think you'll have a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's the thing about it is that people are going to see this movie, and I'm not
Yeah.
used to seeing movies that people are seeing. I'm used to like looking at the theater app and there being like 2 seats taken. But every time me and
Right.
Rachel have been like, let's go see it, it's been like 40 minutes before the movie starts, and we look at it and it's like the theater's full.
Yeah, I don't know. I got a weird time. I think it was like 1:30 in the afternoon last weekend. There were like 5 people in my theater.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure how that's happened because a bajillion people have seen this movie at this point.
This movie is the only movie anyone in America is interested in watching.
Yeah, it's paying Robert Downey Jr.'s salary.
Yeah, I don't even know what to think about that. I'm saving my opinions for actually seeing it, but that seems so stupid to me.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a few years when we're talking about 1989 or whatever in the Muppets.
Yeah.
Well, before we get out of here, gotta let everyone know what we're watching next time. And guess what? It's more Fraggle Rock.
We're just on the Fraggle Rock train for a while, huh?
We are not taking a break until we finish Fraggle Rock.
Powering through.
After this episode of us talking about Fraggle Rock, the next 4 episodes of Commitment will be us wrapping up season 5 of Fraggle Rock.
Okay.
So nothing to derail us. No Muppet Babies randomly popping their heads in. It's just Fraggle Rock until the end of Fraggle Rock.
Then are we on Muppet Babies until the end of time? No, we don't watch Muppet Babies until October.
Yeah, there's a
That's pretty
short little
soon.
break. Yeah,
Ugh.
there's a short little break between end of Fraggle Rock and more Muppet Babies.
Oh boy.
But yeah, it's gonna be. I'm not saying it's gonna be an easy winter into spring next year for us.
Okay.
But next time we will be talking about 3 more episodes of season 5 of Fraggle Rock as we head into February of 1987 with the episodes The Trial of Cotter Pindoozer.
Oh no, she finally answered for her crimes.
The River of Life, and Beyond the Pond. But we need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Go to commitment.com for all your commitment needs. Don't forget to rate and review this podcast wherever you can do that. But also, rate and review it in real life. Tell your friends, hey, I just listened to this 5-star podcast, and I think you should subscribe. I'm going to watch as you click subscribe on your phone right now. I'm going to make you right in front of me. But if you want to reach out, you can do so at mail@commitment.com. And you can follow this podcast everywhere on social media at CommitmentPod. And you can follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.